I'm Ron Miscavige, and this is another lesson in life, or life lessons. One of these days, I'm going to make up my mind exactly what the hell I'm going to call it, so when I come on, I'll say, this is blah, 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 okay? For right now, it's lessons in life, or life lessons. And what I want to take up today is this. I'm a Marine veteran, as you know if you watched my prior show, and I want to take this up from boot camp, because when I graduated boot camp in Parris Island, I was then assigned to go to Camp Lejeune to do advanced combat training, which actually made me a little bit mad, because usually at the end of boot camp, as a matter of fact, the other guys who didn't go to advanced combat training got like a week off. But anyway, I was assigned to go to Camp Lejeune to do advanced combat training. So here we go. We get in a bus, get up to Camp Lejeune, which is in North Carolina. Parris Island, where I finished boot camp, is in South Carolina. We get there, and then since it hadn't started yet, or it wasn't ready to be started, we went into, I think it was called an easy company, which consisted of us going out and, cleaning up the grounds and doing just odd jobs until the actual course of advanced combat training started. So once it started, I can tell you right now, this was tougher physically than boot camp. Boot camp had tough mental issues that you had to deal with, and once you got over with them and you had control of what you could do and got discipline in yourself, it was, you were fine at that point. But advanced combat training, I can tell you, sometimes we went on forced march hikes for miles, late at night, and then had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, fall out for a rifle inspection. Now, when I say you fell out for a rifle inspection, that rifle, that barrel, should be so shiny, not a speck of dust. If there were rust on it, you'd probably go to jail for about 3 days. I mean, that's how strict they were. And I tell you, I think it was a good idea, because that's the one thing, if you're in combat, that rifle has to be operational, and cleaning is really part of the operationability of a rifle. I don't know if there's such a word, but I just made it up. So now, we do this, and I'm doing pretty damn good at it. As a matter of fact, after 1 month, there were 3 of us who were called the Marines of the Month. There was 3 platoons, and I was one of the guys that was given the title of Marine of the Month, and we were given a weekend liberty. So the other 2 guys were from Philadelphia, and I was from a town that was about 130 miles north of Philadelphia called Mount Carmel. So we go on this liberty, and when I came back to go to Camp Lejeune, I think we were going to take a bus back, and unbelievably, I met the 2 other guys, but the bus lines were all canceled due to snow. This is in February in 1954. All the airlines were canceled due to snow. In other words, there was no way for us to get back to Camp Lejeune. So we left in the morning, and we got back, and we were 12 hours late. We were cheerfully greeted by military police at the gate, because, look, you're missing. You're considered AWOL, away without official leave. That's a court-martial offense if you do that. Anyway, we get back. We're picked up by the military police, and we're taken to the officer in charge, who I think his title was the Watch Commander. It's an officer. And we stood there in front of him. We told him our story. Well, sir, we couldn't really make it back because all the bus lines were canceled and the airlines were canceled. We cheerfully told him this, and he looked at us and he said, "What the hell are you talking about? Failure is not an option. You're restricted to the barracks for 2 weeks." Well, I'm going to tell you something. It was like somebody took a goddamn glass of cold water and threw it in my face, because it's one of those moments where a realization comes upon you that, hey, wait a minute, this is the Marine Corps. This is not some numbnut outfit. You're not expected to have it in your mind to fail, or that is an option. And I'll tell you, I adopted that principle in my life from that point on. And I can tell you how you can successfully do it. So listen carefully, because what I'm going to give you is based on experience. Now, I tell people I have good judgment, and I do. And you know where my good judgment came from? Experience. You know where my experience came from? Bad judgment. So I've learned from my mistakes. Now, here's how you can adopt an attitude that will make you far more successful at anything you attempt to do in life. Give yourself two options, and here's what they are. Succeed or succeed. That's your two options. It isn't success or failure. Get it out of your goddamn mind and don't give it another thought. Remember, the two options, succeed or succeed. Because remember, the only time you ever fail is when you stop trying. Once you stop trying, you have given in to failure. Now, how can you always succeed? Well, there's many ways. And number one, do something different. I think it was Einstein that said, doing the same thing time after time and expecting a different result is insanity. And I happen to agree with that point. If what you've done didn't work, you haven't failed. Remember, change something. Change something for the better. Study up on what you're trying to do. You know, these days you can look on the internet and find sources of how you can succeed at just about anything or how to do things. That's one of the things you could do. I'll tell you another thing you could do. Get with somebody who has succeeded in the same thing you're trying to do. Call them and see if you can apprentice with them. I did this when I was selling. And when I was selling, I had no option to fail. I had no salary, no draw. I either sold and we had money to eat and pay off all of our bills, or I didn't. But that was one of the things I did in those days. I got with a couple people who were very successful at what I was selling, went out with them, saw what they did, and it improved me. So those are the options that you can do if you're going to become a success in life. And I will tell you something. It is far easier to succeed than it is to fail. Because when you succeed comes the rewards of maybe greater provisions for yourself or your family. The feeling of success when you attempt and accomplish something can't be measured. And compared to failing, what the hell is that? You fail, you feel like shit. Maybe you get drunk or something. There's no reward in that. So that's my advice for today. And I call that a lesson in life. And I think that's worth your adopting and using it in your life. Because believe me, I wish the best for all of you out there. I think that's part of helping people to succeed, is wishing for them what you've accomplished. And believe me when I tell you this, I've attempted a lot of things. I've succeeded at a lot of them. But on the ones I failed at, I didn't keep true to these principles I just told you. So that's my talk for today, and see if you can use this. Try it out. I'm sure it will work if you try it. If you don't try it, well, what the hell? Nothing's going to work if you don't try it, you know. This is another lesson in life. I'm Ron Miscavige, and you ought to check out what else I do. You should go to my podcast. You know, I'm not even sure it's called a goddamn podcast. I'm so new to digital stuff. I have a show, and if you go to therealronmiscavige.com, you'll see I interview other people. You'll find a couple books that I've written, True Confessions of a Kid, another one called Ruthless, and see if you're interested in something like that. But meanwhile, I'm glad you tuned in today, and it's been my pleasure talking to you, and I hope you profit very well from these lessons in life that I'm giving you. So, again, I'm Ron Miscavige. That's your talk for today. I'll see you on the next lesson. Bye-bye now.